What's up, guys? Jack Irene with Friendly Fighting. We have a big PFL news roundup. Lots of stuff going on. Got signings. We've got fight results, fight previews. We're going to uncover just about everything there is to know about PFL this week. And it starts with PFL Africa 2 in Johannesburg. It was probably one of the most fun fight nights of the year. Seriously, I was debating on even watching it. Obviously not a lot of pre-existing knowledge heading into the card, but I was open to it mainly because these PFL international cards, they are really turning out to be some exciting television, especially compared to the American cards or even the UFC's Apex cards. These really stand out as being fun MMA fights with great atmospheres, and they've just been delivering on insane moments. This card, it was a 10-fight card, 7 finishes. There were flying knees, question mark kicks, quick submissions. We're going to uncover all of the tournament action from the second PFL Africa event, which was in Johannesburg. It was said to be sold out. There were thousands there. They were hot. They were ready to see some action. It was the welterweight first round and featherweight first round tournament action. Not the most elite competition in the world per se, but this is designed to be a regional African league to help grow these athletes into something that can be on that world scale. So the semifinals are now set. We have the featherweight semifinals, Dwight Joseph versus Wasiu Adesanya. Now, Joseph, he was one of many to steal the show with a flying knee KO. Not your average flying knee. They're all sensational, but this one, oh my goodness. One of the many highlights of the night. It was a pretty slow fight until the closing seconds of round 2, and then just, good lord, absolutely obliterated him. Made the guy faceplant, crowd goes apeshit. His opponent, Adesanya, won via rear naked choke in the second round. Pretty impressive performance also. Definitely a dominant showing. His opponent just really couldn't handle the pressure anymore. So we've got a flashy knockout artist and a high-pressure opponent based on these tournament fights, at least. Should be intriguing. I'm sure they'll be playing that highlight clip over and over again. Similar to this matchup, which this is the matchup of the tournament based on the PFL Africa 2 action. Abdul Razak Sankara and Patrick Starboy Osheme. Sankara opened the event with a question mark kick, KO, and it was one of the greatest KOs I've probably ever seen. Probably the best question mark kick. It's pretty rare to score a finish off of one of those, and he just whipped that thing across his face. Just absolutely beautiful martial arts. He was aggressive, he was relentless, and then he got that moment he was waiting for, that beautiful head kick. And then his opponent, Patrick Osheme, he made me a fan. He made Filthy Tom Lawler a fan, who I had an exchange with about Osheme's performance, and his opponent, Mohamed Kamara. It was absolute chaos. 15 minutes of absolute chaos. Osheme rocked him in the second round, almost got a submission there as well. He was very much in control of the fight, but Kamara just kept on coming. Osheme was pretty much in control start to finish, and he did it with such a style, such a fun style. And the crowd really got behind him. Very flashy, a lot of spinning techniques, flexibility. He is a Muay Thai kickboxing background, something like that. I don't think he has necessarily like a Taekwondo background, but he certainly has an exciting style in the cage, and I'd love to see him reach all of its tournament glory and become the champion of PFL Africa and see him on a bigger stage, because he is marketable. You show anyone this fight was awesome. Rightfully so, a main event. I don't know what the matchmaking system is in PFL Africa, but they deserve a raise. Shout out them. In the welterweight bracket, Shido Boris Esperanca looks to be a favorite after he just completely steamrolled Ibrahim Mane in 34 seconds, I believe. So that one never had a chance. But it's picking up in momentum for something that doesn't have a whole lot of casual appeal outside of the region. I'm pretty into it. I think they've got some real momentum. They have a really special atmosphere, and the talent and fight quality are all delivering too. So if the semifinals are anything like this card, we're in for some exciting MMA. And speaking of exciting MMA, we have a preview for the next PFL Championship Finals card. There are three, not one, not two, but three PFL tournament champions to be crowned. It'll be the bantamweight, women's flyweight, and lightweight titles on the line. A pretty stacked card. This is one of their big domestic cards, part of their regular season or world tournament now, before they head to Abu Dhabi. More on that later. First, we have a headlining bout. Gadzhi Rabadanov and Alfie Davis. This will be the lightweight final. Pretty excited for this one. Rabadanov has just been an absolute terror to anyone in his way. He's becoming must-see MMA for me. 12-fight win streak, 4 straight TKOs. Absolutely dominated Mark DeCasey and Kevin Lee. Made them look completely outmatched. I know those aren't the elite of elite at this point, but nobody's beaten those guys the way that he just did. So Rabadanov is probably the most convincing lightweight in the division, even over Usman Nurmagomedov or Paul Hughes. PFL's framing him hard into that Nurmagomedov dynasty, as they tend to do in their storytelling. Whatever gets more eyeballs on the product, Rabadanov's definitely deserving of them. I think he is just a world-class fighter. But in his way is a unique case. It's Alfie Davis, who has gotten hot at the right time. A fun, creative striker from England. His win over Clay Collard with his spinning back elbow and a gritty decision win over Brent Primus got him here. Those are the 2 biggest wins of his career. Can he make it 3? Well, there's probably going to be a big speed gap, as there tends to be with Rabadanov. This dude's lightning quick and super accurate. Probably the 2 most essential possessions you could have as a striker in MMA, and he comes with a well-grounded game that we don't often even get to see, because Rabadanov puts an end to any chance of that, and I don't think we'll see it here. Alfie Davis is going to look for that crazy spinning shot that he landed on Clay Collard and that he's landed in the past. Maybe a huge axe kick or something. I don't know. If he's not to land that, it's probably going to be a Gadzhi Rabadanov tournament win for the 2nd year in a row. I would say probably a 2nd-round TKO. I know Alfie Davis said that he's going to dance in front of him like a monkey or something and put on a show, but I kind of have my doubts on that. But time will tell. I am rooting for Alfie Davis. I think he's a fun fighter. I've watched him going back to Bellator. It's kind of crazy to see him in this role. I hope he makes it last, man. Moving on to Jena Bishop and Liz Carmouche, the women's flyweight tournament final. Definitely an interesting division for PFL specifically. Obviously, Dakota Ditcheva, the queen at 125 for PFL. We may find out her next challenger. We probably should here, right? It's the flyweight final. This is the tournament format. This is what crowned Ditcheva the champion last year. This year we have Liz Carmouche, former Bellator champion, and Jena Bishop. Carmouche, 11 of her last 13 have been wins. Her only losses were a UFC title fight to Valentina Shevchenko and a very narrow split decision loss to Talia Santos. She's proven, well-rounded vet. If you've been following MMA for the last decade or more, you know Liz Carmouche, and you know she's a bad mamma jamma. Okay, she hasn't really shown any wear and tear. She's still fighting at a very high level. Jena Bishop, her opponent, 39 years old, elite BJJ black belt, definitely has skills on the ground and grappling. She was competitive against Taila Santos, very similarly to Carmouche. She lost to Ditcheva. She has gotten a shot at Dakota Ditcheva. It did not go her way. I think she ate a crushing knee to the face. Ditcheva used her clinch mainly. Obviously, Bishop has to close distance in order for her style to work successfully. I don't really have a whole lot of interest in seeing Ditcheva rematch with Bishop, but if Bishop is to beat Girlrilla, Liz Carmouche here, it's hard to take that away from her. So it's a pretty high-level fight for women's flyweight. We've got a new challenger with elite grappling against the proven champion, And in that case, I will be going with the proven champion. I've got Liz Carmouche by a 5-round decision. Ideally, that'll set up a Dakota Ditcheva, Liz Carmouche fight, which has decent mainstream appeal. I think a lot of people still remember Liz Carmouche from those glory days of MMA. She has that legend status, so to speak, and Dakota Ditcheva is the hot new toy. So let's make that fight happen. That's been on my mind since this Bellator PFL partnership or purchase, whatever the fuck. So I think that is the fight to make, even if there wasn't a tournament format. That is the fight to get in the cage until further notice. And you know, it's a justified matchup. It's a lot of people complain about Dakota Ditcheva not having flyweights to fight in PFL. I think Liz Carmouche is as good as any other flyweight in the world. So I really like that matchup and that scenario, but she has to get it done this weekend against Jena Bishop, who we cannot count out. Speaking of not counting out, let's move on to the bantamweight final. And the reason I say that is because this features Marceli Alves, who was a tournament alternate. He was not even scheduled to be in the PFL World Tournament. He has since scored upset wins over former Bellator title contender Leandro Higo and former UFC prospect Jake Hadley. And that Jake Hadley fight, oh my goodness. The striking stats on that fight, I will never forget. 187 strikes landed for Alves, 18 for Jake Hadley. 18 over the course of 3 rounds. And Alves almost landed 200 strikes. It was absolutely dominant. There were 26 scorecards. I was pretty impressed. I know Jake Hadley's not the best in the world, but holy, he made him look like he should quit the sport. I mean, it was insane. He just picked him apart. His opponent, Justin Wetzel, he came in overweight for the first fight, which I thought was strange. I thought it was strange that he was able to stay in the tournament. I thought you got pulled if you weren't able to make weight in the tournament. I do believe his opponent, Kasim Kasimov, took the fight anyway. I don't think he was too bothered by it. Maybe that went into the decision-making here. But that came to cost him because Justin Wetzel scored a major upset. I want to say he was a plus 600 underdog, and he grinded out a decision, did it pretty convincingly. He followed up with another decision win over Mondo Gutierrez. I don't think he's been as dominant as Alves in the tournament bracket. He's definitely gritty. He definitely knows how to win. He's on a hot streak. I know most people are picking Wetzel from what I've seen, but give me Alves. Give me Alves by a dominant striking performance, like what he did to Jake Hadley. That was impressive to me. I'm going to not forget that performance and hold him to it. That's the standard now. Marceli Alves, your bantamweight champion. And if that is the case, here's what I'll say about all of this. This has not been one of the stronger brackets for PFL, which is a shame because I think there's a lot of potential at bantamweight. I think it may be to that point in a year or two. There were a lot of pullouts in the tournament. You'll be establishing a guy here, someone to put eyeballs on, someone to put in a big fight. I don't know their future as far as success goes, but they'll have the credentials with this tournament win, and we'll see how they fit into the division. Now, with Patchy Mix gone, you still have some heavy hitters in there like Magomedov and Sergio Pettis, former Bellator champion, Rafion Stotts. I mean, there's guys in the division. I think it's a little top-heavy. We'll see where these tournament winners fit into those higher ranks. We also have some undercard highlights. Mads Burnell is back. Definitely a fan favorite in UFC, Bellator, PFL now. He's coming off a loss to J.J. Wilson. He's taking on Robert Watley, who is 4-0 since his last PFL stint, which I think was about, 4-6 years ago, something like that. Pretty nice little undercard fight here. May decide a tournament spot next year. I'm not sure what the future is for either of these men. I usually keep tabs on Mads Burnell. He's a pretty fun fighter, fun personality. I'm going to take him by decision. He's got a little higher level experience. I don't see any of Robert Watley's wins really standing out, but this could be the first name win, so to speak, for Robert Watley. Also on the card, this fight I am just so confused by. absolutely just perplexed and puzzled by this booking. Juliana Velasquez and Ekaterina Shakalova. These two have already fought. And I know nobody pays attention to this shit, but I do. And I know those matchmakers do. I hope they do. These two fought in April. It is August right now. May, June, July, August. Maybe 4 months. And they are having a rematch. Juliana Velasquez, former Bellator champion. Shakalova, PFL Europe champion. Both legit fighters. I liked the fight in April. Thought it was a good fight. I think it was tournament action. They've since been kicked out of the tournament. Shakalova beat her in, 2 minutes, if that? Rear naked choke. Didn't even really give Velasquez a chance. And now, there's a rematch. I don't understand. Am I missing a storyline here? Am I not filled in on what's going on? Why is Juliana Velasquez getting an immediate rematch with Shakalova? What am I missing? Someone tell me in the comments what I'm missing. This is completely baffling. I don't know why I wouldn't expect a similar outcome. I do think Velasquez should fare a little bit better. I mean, a 2-minute rear naked choke where I don't even think she landed a strike or defended a takedown. I think it was Shakalova steamrolling her into a rear naked choke for positioning. I just don't see why this was booked. It's quite strange to me. I really have nothing else to say about that. This next fight, I see intention for. I know why it's happening. It is happening because Biagio Ali Walsh needs to make a rebound. He, not too long ago, suffered his first upset loss to Ronnie Gibbs in Gibbs' hometown of Chicago. It was a nice moment for Ronnie Gibbs, not a nice moment for the grandson of Muhammad Ali. He looks to bounce back. He's going against Adrian Grundy, who PFL has pictured nicely here. It's a featherweight moving up to lightweight. It's pretty similar to the Ronnie Gibbs formula. Hate to say can-crushing formula, because these aren't necessarily cans, but it's certainly a favorable matchup for Biagio. But so was Ronnie Gibbs, and we saw how that turned out. I think Gibbs was a plus 1,000 underdog or something. Walsh showed great power. He showed pretty nice striking. I think his glaring mistakes lied in his fight IQ, in terms of positioning, in terms of landing and following up on that in a successful way. I think we saw him land pretty well and then resort to grappling, not a strong suit. He seems a little bit more comfortable on the feet. I think he should rely on that power more. We'll probably see him do that in this fight with Grundy. But there's no reason not to pick Biagio. But if you're looking for a low-risk payday, maybe take a chance on Adrian Grundy and cross your fingers. But I'm going to pick a Biagio. I think he's still fun to look out for, too, in terms of a prospect, just because of the marketability standpoint. And we'll see how his career pans out. He can get back on track right here. MMA is very forgiving in terms of wins and losses. It's not quite like what his granddad did in the boxing ring. Records can be blemished, and you can find success in the sport. So time will tell on that. Time will also tell on Sabrina de Sousa, who they do not have promo picks for. I'll have to add one in post. But there is a lot to talk about on this one for a prelim. Sabrina de Sousa, a 4-time IMMAF gold medalist, an elite amateur background. Only 21 years old. She's shown a well-rounded skill set, lot of amateur fights. She makes her PFL debut, and it's in the flyweight division. Dakota Ditcheva's division. Do we have a prospect here that can eventually challenge Dakota Ditcheva? Well, time will tell. As I like to say. You see the records 3-0 for Sabrina de Sousa, 8-7 for Soraya Orozco. You've got the journey woman against the hot prospect, only 3 fights in. I think a win here, she'll become 4-0. PFL can kind of fast track her to that superstardom through the tournament next year and put her on that same trajectory that Dakota Ditcheva went through she certainly has the credentials on paper early in her career to be that girl that can make a really compelling fight with Ditcheva in a few years' time. You know, this is all planning. Orozco's not necessarily a squash match. It will show where de Sousa really ranks as far as high-level women's flyweight fighters. But assuming this goes her way and PFL's way, I think we'll see her in the tournament or in some bigger fights very quickly. So that is the PFL preview. I'm liking the card. Bojangles Coliseum is going to get a pretty decent night of fights from the prelims to the main card. So I'll be seated for those. We do have a new PFL World Welterweight Tournament winner, Thad Jean. He's been making a lot of headlines. Definitely a breakout star of 2025. What's next for him? What's next for the PFL Welterweight division? Well, Thad Jean is filling in the blanks. He says he wants Cedric Doumbe, the two-time Glory kickboxing champion. Pretty intriguing matchup on paper. He said he's been watching Doumbe for a while, as we all have, and that's the fight that excites him the most. I think he speaks for a lot of people when he says that. You know, a lot of the fantasy matchmaking in this division revolves around Cedric Doumbe, which is kind of crazy. You know, he hasn't had a whole lot of fights, but he's been must-see television for all of his interactions in the PFL cage. Thad Jean said he'll go to Paris if he needs to. He wants it in December so he can recover from the tournament. A lot of weight cutting, the 3 times a year, obviously. But he wants to get in there quickly. Obviously, he had the KO win over Muhammad Berkamov, the decision win over former Bellator champ Jason Jackson, which kind of proved his world ranking. And then he solidified it by beating Logan Storley for the belt, staying composed against the elite wrestler who would not stop coming forward. Now he's one of PFL's most exciting fighters, a la Dakota Ditcheva, a la Paul Hughes. So Gene's mindset, he's not going to let it change him. He's going to keep going higher and higher and higher, and now he wants to be a superstar. And superstars need big fights. I think he realizes Doumbe in Paris would be that money fight, and he's got a lot of confidence now. He's beaten a high-level wrestler. Jason Jackson's super well-rounded. I think he thinks he can take on the elite striking of Cedric Doumbe. He has a lot of freedom as to where his career goes next. I can say, now this is a rumor, but it looks like the PFL World Championship, the super fight belt, will be decided without him. Now he's lurking in the background. I'm sure he's the number one contender, but we have a rumored November fight, Shamil Musaev, the PFL champ in 2024. So the tournament Thad Jean just won. Musaev won last year, and he did it very, very impressively. He's going to go against Ramazan Kuramagomedov, who is the ex-Bellator champ when they folded. So this is basically a unification bout, kind of what the super fight division is all about. We will find the true head of the PFL welterweight division, and I think that sets up nicely for Thad Jean's number one contendership. So let's do this in November. Let's do this rumored Ramazan Kuramagomedov and Shamil Musaev fight to decide the kingpin, the guy that absolutely deserves the unified belt. Thad Jean has earned the next spot in line. I think that's a nice little title picture there. And as for Cedric Doumbe, you've still got the Baki rivalry to fall back onto. Cedric Doumbe's controversial loss to Baki with the whole splinter in the toe and referee stopping the fight. It's definitely still a factor in the matchmaking. I know Baki just re-upped with PFL, I believe. So those are some big names to watch. Thad Jean, Cedric Doumbe, Baki, and the title picture is shaking up after this Musaev-Kuramagomedov fight. We'll decide who the man is. So the division is gaining some serious momentum for late 2025 and going into 2026. Another division gaining momentum and another rumored title fight. I mean, it was confirmed by the man Khabib Nurmagomedov. So if we are to take him as a man of his word, October 4th in Abu Dhabi, Usman Nurmagomedov defends the PFL lightweight title against Paul Hughes for the second time. Second title fight between these two. The first fight is on track to be voted the greatest PFL fight of all time. And can I argue? Not really. It's pretty amazing. They had a crowd full of people rooting, screaming and hollering. Crowd was going crazy. It was competitive. It was high level. There's so much hype around both of these guys. It's really becoming a cool rivalry. There is no doubt why this rematch should be booked immediately. You know, it's not like Juliana Velasquez and Shakalova. It's the complete opposite. This is an example of a fight that does need to happen. The only case in which I would say this shouldn't be an immediate rematch is if there was a debate on who the next challenger should be. Mansour Barnoui and Archie Colgan had a fight that was labeled as a number one contenders fight in some areas. I don't know why it was marketed that way. Colgan looked really sharp, yes, but the Hughes-Usman rematch is the absolute right move, and it seems like everything's pointing that direction, so I don't see why they wouldn't do it. Their first fight was razor close, had huge fan engagement, probably the most fan engagement of any fight in PFL this year. And then they had Paul Hughes prove it. They had Paul Hughes regain stock right after his loss. He got back in the cage, 42-second TKO win over Bruno Miranda in May. He's one of PFL's brightest stars. He's very similar to Dakota Ditcheva in his rise, and I think this rematch will be even bigger than the first fight. And this is exactly what PFL needs. They need defining moments, defining fighters, defining rivalries. This is the stuff that does numbers. This is the stuff that generates buzz. Another thing that generates buzz is Artem Lobov. And PFL realized this. PFL made the call. Artem Lobov is making his MMA return 7 years in the making against Zubaira Tukhogov. This is targeted for that Dubai card. It'll be at a catch weight of 165. No real division implications here. This is all story. This is pro wrestling, sports entertainment. This is also what PFL needs. And if they're pairing this with that title fight, ooh, they are going to cash some checks soon, which PFL cannot always say. This rivalry is long running. It originated in the UFC days, the Conor McGregor hype days, 2018. There was a lot of tension ahead of UFC 223. Lobov had confronted Khabib's teammate. Zubaira Tukhogov was involved. This followed up with Conor McGregor's infamous bus attack, and Lobov was pulled from that specific fight with Tukhogov. It was a UFC fight. It was canceled. Tukhogov's role in the post-fight brawl just made it to where this could not happen. So both of them have some layoffs. Lobov retired after a decently successful bare-knuckle run. He had some big fights. He said he wouldn't come back to MMA unless he was paid either $1 million or he got that fight with Zubaira Tukhogov. And I'm going to tell you right now, PFL's not paying him $1 million. So this fight is happening. That is his main motivation. He's no longer aligned with Conor McGregor. You can see the lawsuit over Proper 12. A lot going on there. He claims Conor owed him money. Some things like that. He's been a busy guy. Tukhogov hasn't fought since 2023. He was in the UFC. The storyline sells itself. There's a personal beef, long absence, and some volatile personalities, including Conor McGregor, who the MMA community is still completely obsessed with, and he is a bigger draw than anyone in the sport to this day, despite never fighting. So I totally see why they're doing it. This is a method out of the pro wrestling playbook, the Bellator strategy. It can do numbers, and it can get attention, and that's what PFL needs. They need to tell stories with characters that people care about, and I think that was their idea when they signed on with Francis Ngannou, but there's been some controversy with that. Now, Francis signed a 2-fight deal with PFL. He has only fought once. It was that KO win over Renan Ferreira in October of 2024. His big comeback, PFL Battle of the Giants. There were reports that said his deal had an expiration date. We don't know what the status is. We do know that he is the chairman of PFL Africa in title. PFL Africa has had 2 events now. I've watched both of them. He was not there. Donn Davis was asked about this. Donn Davis said, I expected Francis to be there. This is part of his vision, and I'm disappointed. Disappointment. Public disappointment. Let's read into it, because that's what we do. Obviously, Donn is disappointed, like he said. He probably has a right to feel that way. And we don't know the full story. I'm sure he's more frustrated with the situation than he's letting on. Doesn't seem to be a whole lot of communication. You know, what are Francis's priorities right now? He's been dealing with a lot of stuff in the last couple of years, we obviously know. And along with that, he's been building his boxing career. You know, he nearly beat Tyson Fury. A lot of people said he did. He lost badly to Anthony Joshua after that. And then there's been talk of the Deontay Wilder fight, but nothing confirmed. And at times it looks like PFL's like this side plot, just this backup plan at best. And, you know, his coach says they'll always remember PFL's support, but actions speak louder, and I don't see a lot of Francis Ngannou and PFL in the same room. Big John had a take on this, Big John McCarthy, everyone's favorite referee and least favorite commentator, but he had a harsh critique on the heavyweight division in general. He said PFL's heavy division is a glamour division with no talent. You know, and I think that speaks for the larger scale of heavyweights in general. He was pitching to replace the men's heavyweight with men's flyweight. I'm sure there's a lot more talent at that weight class. But Big John, his argument was, you know, it's costly. Vadim Nemkov was getting paid Bellator champion money. Corey Anderson, same way. Francis Ngannou, who knows how much he's making. So when you have just a couple standout fighters and no one to put them against, there's really no return you can make on the investment. One of the higher level fighters, Denis Goltsov, this was a PFL heavyweight champion, ran through the tournament, had an awesome showing in the finals. Probably a top 15 heavyweight in the world, top 20. Corey Anderson, a light heavyweight, absolutely just scorched him. Not even close. Absolutely ran through him. You know, UFC's heavyweight division isn't even deep. So maybe PFL should ditch this shit. Maybe that's not crazy of Big John to say. He said run divisions from 125 to 205, keep bantamweight, add men's flyweight. You know, you need to build that bantamweight division. But other than that, the PFL lower weight classes are the stronger weight classes. He said to drop heavyweights entirely. He also said Ngannou isn't delivering on his PFL contract in any way. And that seems to be the popular belief. I hate that it's gotten to this point. You know, no one wants to say that Dana White was right, except him. And I know he's going to use this. He's going to use this as fuel. He's going to say, I told y'all. I told y'all Francis was a bad man. I don't think Francis is a bad man. Do I think he likes money? Probably. Do I think he's getting his money? Probably. I'd like to see him be more involved. And if he's not going to be involved, let's just get rid of the heavyweight division. I'm with Big John on this one. Let's just get rid of it. You look at that PFL heavyweight final, they're not even putting it on the main card. It's on the prelims. World title tournament final. Everything's been building to this. It's not even on the main card. Now, the fight is, what is it, Alexander Romanov and Oleg Popov? I mean, that's just an anti-draw. I'm sorry. They're considered high-ranking heavyweights. First of all, I think Corey Anderson runs through both of them. And secondly, nobody cares about these guys. There's just no investment. There's no hype. And at the end of the day, this is entertainment. So maybe heavyweights isn't the most entertaining division. I know, shocker. But let me know what you guys think on all of this stuff. We unpacked a lot of news, previews, reviews, and everything in between. Let me know what you guys think on all of this. especially the heavyweight division. Should we just get rid of that shit? It's not very good. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more friendly fighting news.